you in your tireless journey. Have you ever found yourself knocking at the door of the divine, feeling that no one was answering, even after so many practices and countless attempts at connection? Feel now that familiar reverberation of frustration, the energy that pulses in the incessant search for a truth that always seems elusive, one step away, yet unattainable. This experience is not a sign of failure or inadequacy in your dedication. On the contrary, it is the validation of a universal restlessness, an echo of millions of souls who, like yours, invest time and heart in meditations, visualizations, and affirmations, but still feel the authentic resonance distant. The very intensity of your seeking may, paradoxically, be creating a subtle noise in the field of your consciousness, obscuring the clarity of the frequency you wish to tune into. It is as if your soul knows there is something more, an unrevealed depth, a vibrational coherence waiting to be fully felt. And this dissatisfaction is merely the preamble to a revelation that will recontextualize everything you thought you knew about genuine alignment and empowerment. Allow yourself to deeply feel the exhaustion that accumulates when the promise of alignment and manifestation seems to dissolve into the ether, leaving a persistent feeling that even after deep meditations, vivid visualizations, and affirmations repeated with fervor, true divine resonance is still a million miles away. Perhaps you feel that something fundamental, a crucial piece of the cosmic puzzle, is missing from your approach, or that you are doing something wrong despite all your effort and dedication. This pain is not a mistake. It is a precise map, a signal that your own energetic system is emitting, indicating that the way you have been seeking this connection may not be the most efficient for your unique essence. The mind, conditioned to seek, to add, and to accumulate, may be inadvertently creating a field of resistance, a frequency of not yet that prevents the collapse of the wave of potential into your reality. We validate this incessant search and doubt, for they are the seeds of the true paradigm shift, the stillness before the storm that will reveal the calm and clarity you long for. And what if the secret to mastering your divine resonance lay not in adding more practices, more studies, or complexity to your journey, but rather in letting go more, in releasing the layers that, without you realizing, obscure what is already inherent and perfect within you? Allow yourself to imagine that your divine resonance is not a distant station to be tuned into with constant effort, but rather a deep and crystalline sound that already powerfully echoes in every cell, a perfect frequency pulsing in your bioenergetic field. However, this sound has been muffled by years of conditioning, by deeply rooted limiting beliefs, by external expectations, and by the very incessant search that led you to look outside for what in truth is already within. Think of dense emotions, persistent doubts, and old fears as static noises, vibrational interferences accumulated in your consciousness, creating a sonic fog that prevents the clarity of your soul's primordial melody, distorting your perception of innate quantum coherence. Mastery in this context is not about construction, but rather about the elegant deconstruction of what does not serve. In this video, I will go beyond superficial techniques and empty promises to reveal the only path that will lead you directly to the mastery of your divine resonance, activating it and feeling it fully in less than 7 days. This is a proposal for a deep and irreversible transformation of your perception and, consequently, of your immediate reality. No more seeking outside for answers that already vibrate in your innermost core. No more feeling insufficient or believing that this connection is a privilege of a few. The great promise here is the release of your innate capacity to co-create, to align with the universal flow of abundance and well-being, not through a Herculean effort to achieve something, but through the loving permission for the essence that you already are to manifest in its totality. It is a paradigm shift so profound that it reforms the very basis of your understanding of manifestation and personal power. Prepare to unveil the code of inherent resonance, a concept that will anchor you in a scientific and metaphysical truth that is both simple and profoundly transformative, bringing crystalline clarity to your journey and a new meaning to the neuroplasticity of your consciousness. So, at this exact moment, as these words echo in your mind and touch your soul, I invite you to pause for an instant. Pause the agitation of the external world and the subtle turbulence of internal worries. Breathe deeply. feeling the air fill each cell, bringing a wave of vital oxygen and energetic coherence to your system. As you slowly exhale, release what has passed, free the expectations that may imprison you. Let go of any remnant of doubt or skepticism that may be manifesting in your vibrational field. Feel this release, this gentle surrender to the present moment. Allow yourself to be totally and completely present for this revelation that is about to unfold before you, for it is only in the fullness of the now that true inherent resonance can be felt and accessed. This is the invitation for an initial alignment, a micro-calibration of your frequency. Your mindful attention in this instant is the key that opens the door to understanding the code of inherent resonance, the map that will guide you to the mastery you always knew was possible. Just feel and be. Feel the depth of this revelation emerging now, because most of us, in our sincere and incessant search for a deeper connection, have unknowingly been in a paradoxical cycle. You have sought to create or achieve your divine resonance, as if it were something external to be conquered or a frequency to be tuned into that does not yet exist in your field. But what if I told you that this sublime frequency, this original and perfect vibration of your soul, already inherently pulses within every cell of your being, a primordial echo of totality, an intrinsic energetic code waiting to be unveiled, but which is being muffled by a cacophony of internal noises? It is the exhaustion of trying to add more and more layers, when the truth resides in a silent release, an unveiling of what already is. This understanding fundamentally alters the architecture of your search, transforming it from an arduous climb into a gentle dive into your own essence. Your reality is a mirror of this internal frequency, and if the connection seems distant, perhaps it is not the absence of the music, but the presence of the noise. Now, think about how this cacophony manifests in your field of consciousness. Your divine resonance, that state of perfect coherence and alignment with your essence, is being muffled by layers of limiting beliefs you absorbed throughout life, unrealistic expectations of how spirituality should be or appear, and an incessant search for validation or external signs that pull you away from your own internal compass. Each time you doubt your innate ability to manifest, each time you compare your journey with someone else's, or cling to a specific outcome with desperation, you are adding a new layer of static to this divine melody. Your nervous system, shaped by the neuroplasticity of your experiences, has been conditioned to seek answers outside, and this constant search becomes a background noise, a dissonant frequency that prevents the clarity of your own song. It is the cognitive dissonance between what you think you need and what your soul already is. For this truth to anchor deeply within you, imagine your divine resonance not as a radio station you need to find and tune into through a Herculean effort, but rather as a perfect and timeless melody that is already being transmitted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, directly from your inner quantum field. This melody is your purest essence, the vibration of your authentic being, a symphony of light and information that carries the code of your totality and your unlimited potential. It echoes on a plane of existence that transcends time and space, a music that is unchangeable in its perfection and beauty. Your soul sings this song with crystalline clarity, and it is the soundtrack of your deepest truth. This is not a melody you need to compose or learn. It simply is, and has always been there, waiting for your permission to be heard, felt, and experienced in its totality. However, what you have been perceiving, what many of us experience, is just white noise, a dense mental static that prevents the clarity of this music. This static is not innate. It is the result of your layers of conditioning, of the subconscious programs that have been installed, of your unprocessed emotional reactions, of the fears you have embraced, and of the incessant chatter of the egoic mind that yearns for control and external validation. Your mind, in its well-intentioned attempt to protect you and keep you safe, has created sound barriers, perceptive filters that distort or muffle the divine frequency. It is like trying to listen to a sublime orchestra through a radio with faulty tuning, where the music is there, but the static and interference steal its magnificence. This noise manifests as self-sabotage, procrastination, insecurity, and that persistent feeling that you are not good enough or deserving of the fullness you desire. Understand that the real work The only path to master your divine resonance is not to create this melody or to search for a new station. The melody is already present, perfect, and pulsing. The work is, in fact, to clear this static, to deactivate the filters, to release the layers of noise that you unconsciously allowed to accumulate in your vibrational field. It is a process of deconditioning, of deconstruction, of returning to your original frequency, a state of pure being instead of a constant effort of doing. This clearing does not require an exhaustive search for something new, but a surrender and a permission for what already exists to reveal itself in its magnificence. It is the neuroplasticity of your consciousness being redirected to internal listening, to tuning into your inherent truth, allowing the light of your soul to collapse the wave of possibilities in your field of experience. Now, as you feel the reverberation of this truth in your chest, in your own resonance, allow yourself a deep and visceral introspection. What internal noises have you been feeding with your attention? And what external noises have you allowed to muffle the melody of your soul, that sacred song of your purest essence? Feel this now, as you read. Is it the voice of self-judgment, the shadow of doubt, the weight of others' expectations, the fear of the future, the anger of the past, the craving for approval? Let these questions permeate your energetic field, revealing the layers of interference that are hindering your vibrational clarity. The answer does not come from intellect, but from a visceral sensation, an internal resonance that points to the areas where release is most needed. Acknowledge them without judgment, just with the curiosity of someone who is about to unveil a treasure long hidden in plain sight. But how, you might ask? Can we truly identify and silence these noises so ingrained, so intertwined in our perception of ourselves, to finally hear the song of our essence in its fullness, in its purest and highest vibration? The answer lies in a deeper understanding of the code of inherent resonance, a key that not only identifies but dissolves the static. If this idea of silencing to tune in already resonates deeply with you, if the promise of releasing to reveal ignites a flame of recognition in your heart, then leave a yes in the comments now. Feel the energy of this permission, this consent to unlearn what does not serve and to make space for your inherent truth. This simple action is already a vibrational step, a conscious declaration to the quantum field that you are ready to recalibrate and tune into your divine melody. And it is precisely at this point, in the stillness that follows the question of how to silence the noise, that the true paradigm shift reveals itself, leading us directly to the core of what I call the code of inherent resonance. You have perhaps spent a lifetime seeking, accumulating, adding technique after technique in the hope of creating or achieving a divine frequency that always seemed ahead of you, a hidden treasure that required monumental effort. But what if I told you that the incessant search was, paradoxically, part of the very noise that hindered clarity? The only way to mastery is not a new layer to be superimposed, but rather the revelation of the oldest and simplest truth your being already knows deeply. Your divine frequency is intrinsic. It does not need to be acquired. It is O. Feel the depth of this affirmation, this liberation from the tyranny of constant doing, from the limiting belief that you are, in some way, incomplete or disconnected, waiting for something external to activate you. Your essence already pulses with the perfect, immaculate melody. This resonance is not a prize to be won, nor a skill to be developed through countless hours of strenuous practice, although conscious practice always enhances perception. Instead, visualize your soul as a perfect transmitter, operating at the highest and purest frequency imaginable, emitting a song of totality and unconditional love from your very first breath. This frequency is your energetic signature, as unique and irremovable as your fingerprints, a spiritual genetic code that connects you directly to the source of all creation. The problem, then, was never the absence or weakness of the signal, but the density of the layers that you, perhaps unconsciously, allowed to accumulate on this transmitter. Deep-seated fears, persistent doubts about your worth, past traumas that reverberate as distorted echoes, and social pressure to fit into frequencies that are not yours. It is the weight of these layers that we need to learn to release, to unlearn, so that the original signal can flow freely and unimpeded. And the master key for this release The pulsing heart of the code of inherent resonance resides in two powerful words that transcend any technique: permission and surrender. Imagine for a moment that you are holding tightly to a rope, fighting against a current that, in truth, has always been there to carry you gently downstream to where you need to go. Permission is the conscious act of letting go of that rope, of saying yes to the truth of your own divine nature, recognizing that the struggle is optional and that flow is your natural state. Surrender, in turn, is the deep trust that upon letting go, you will not fall into emptiness, but will be sustained by a greater intelligence, by that same resonance that is your foundation. It is the courage to dismantle the illusion that you need to control every detail, every outcome, every step of the universe, to finally make space for the universe, through your own frequency, to work for you and through you in perfect harmony. Releasing the need for excessive control and immoderate effort is not a sign of weakness or inaction, but rather the greatest act of power you can exercise. You have been conditioned to believe that success, happiness, the manifestation of your desires, are the fruits of a constant battle, of a steep climb, where every step demands sweat and sacrifice. And, while intention and inspired action have their place, the essence of resonance mastery lies in unlearning this mindset of scarcity and struggle. Unlearning means questioning the ingrained beliefs that it's not for me, it's too difficult, I'm not worthy, which have become self-sabotaging programs in your energetic field, creating dissonance. Each time you cling to a rigid expectation about how things should unfold, you are, in a way, fighting against the innate flow of your resonance, creating resistance. The invitation is to let go of the need to shape the wave and instead learn to surf it, trusting the intrinsic wisdom of the ocean of life. To truly understand the potency of the code of inherent resonance, let's nestle into the simplicity of a universal force you experience every second: gravity. Think about it. You don't need to make gravity work. You don't need to strive for it to keep you firmly on the ground. You don't perform complex rituals to ensure it exists around you. It simply is. It is an undeniable truth, a law of the universe that operates independently of your belief or effort. It sustains, it attracts, it organizes your physical world without you having to lift a single finger to orchestrate its existence. Its presence is a constant, an unquestionable foundation upon which your entire earthly experience unfolds, and you live your life in total trust and acceptance of this fact, without hesitation or doubt. You would never think of creating gravity, only of benefiting from its continuous presence. Now bring that same perspective to your divine resonance. It is not something you need to make work. It simply is. It exists, pulses, and sustains you from your point of origin, a force as fundamental and intrinsic as gravity is to your physical body, but operating on an energetic and spiritual level. Your resonance is the universal law that organizes your field of possibilities, attracting to you experiences, people, and circumstances that align with the frequency your essence emits. The work is not to try to create it or force it to be a certain way, for it is already in its highest and most perfect state. Your sole and true work is to stop fighting against it, doubting it, trying to redefine it through limiting concepts. It is to surrender to its natural flow, trusting that it will guide you and manifest in your life exactly what is in coherence with your deepest truth, without unnecessary effort. Feel this now, as the words resonate within you. Close your eyes for an instant, or just soften the focus of your gaze. Allow yourself to feel in the center of your chest, in your heart, this visceral truth. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed. And your divine resonance is not hidden somewhere distant. It is vibrating here and now within you, a silent melody that, when heard, calms every cell of your body. Let this feeling of completeness, of innate integrity, spread throughout your entire being, from your toes to the top of your head. It is a gentle warmth, a lightness that arises from deep acceptance, a recognition that the divine is not something external to be achieved, but an electrical current, a light that fills you and overflows. Breathe this truth in, feel it root itself, and observe how the tension begins to dissipate, as if an invisible weight were, finally, lifted from your shoulders. With this new perspective, With this understanding that resonance is inherent and that the key lies in permission and surrender, the question resonates in a totally new way within your being. Are you truly ready to surrender to the truth that your resonance is already perfect and available, waiting only for your permission to flow? Are you ready to release the old narrative of incessant effort and embrace the ease of being, to let go of rigid expectations about how things should be and welcome the beauty of what is and what naturally reveals itself? To invite this divine frequency to permeate every fiber of your body, every thought of your mind, every emotion of your heart, allowing it to rewrite your reality from the inside out, manifesting a life that is in total coherence with your highest truth. To anchor this understanding and activate this feeling more deeply in your daily life, I invite you to a small but powerful ritual of awareness that can be practiced at any time. Whenever you feel anxious, seeking answers outside, or falling into the trap of control and doubt about your own resonance, pause. Place one hand over your heart, the other over your lower abdomen, and say silently or aloud, allowing each word to reverberate in your cells, I surrender to my inherent resonance. I allow myself to be guided by this truth that I already am. I release the need to control, and I trust in the divine flow that sustains me. Feel the difference this declaration, coming from your deepest place of truth, makes in your energetic field, realigning your being with the silent power of your essence. If this concept of the code of inherent resonance is igniting a light of deep and visceral clarity within you, if it resonates with a truth your being always knew but perhaps forgot, then allow that light to expand. Share this video with someone you know is seeking this very same truth, who feels exhausted by the incessant search and longs for a direct formula to reconnect with their power. By sharing, you not only multiply the energy of your own permission and surrender, but you spread this resonance so that more hearts can awaken to the simplicity and power of their own innate divinity. Together, we can create a wave of consciousness that transcends the need to struggle, inviting a new era of ease, grace, and authentic manifestation for the collective. But understanding and feeling this truth is only the first step. The mind, accustomed to old patterns, may still wonder, how can we, in a concrete way, practice this permission and surrender in daily life, amidst everyday challenges and the world's distractions, to see and feel quick and tangible results in our reality? How do we transform this wisdom into a continuous experience, a quantum activation that manifests in less than 7 days, as promised? Prepare yourself, for in our next deep dive, we will unveil the practical and simplified method so that you can not only understand, but experience this inherent resonance, integrating it into your life in such a way that it becomes your new and unshakable foundation, revealing the path to a palpable and accelerated transformation. Do you feel exhausted by the incessant search for your divine resonance, as if it were a hidden treasure that requires complex rituals and a lifetime of effort to be found? This incessant search for something more, for a secret technique or an enlightened master, often leaves you with the feeling that your true essence is always one step away, frustrating your soul with promises that never fully materialize. But what if I told you that the quantum activation of your divine frequency is not a process of acquisition, but of release? It's not about building a bridge to the divine, but about removing the veils that prevent you from seeing that you already are that divinity in its purest and most resplendent form. In the next 7 days, I invite you to a radically simple method, daily recalibrations of perspective and conscious acts of letting go. This is the path to unveil the authentic sound of your soul, a melody that has always been there, just awaiting your permission to vibrate without impediments, transforming your reality into a vivid reflection of your unlimited potential. Feel the truth of this. Understand that release here is not an abandonment of responsibilities or an act of negligence, but a conscious choice to simplify, to detach from what does not serve your highest truth. Your mind, conditioned by years of beliefs and social patterns, often leads you to believe that spiritual depth can only be achieved through complexity, through exhaustive sacrifices, or through an almost monastic discipline. However, the universe, in its infinite wisdom, operates with an elegance and simplicity that we often ignore. True depth emerges from the stillness, from the empty space that is created when you gently remove the excess. It is like a sculptor who does not add clay, but removes superfluous material to reveal the masterpiece that already exists within the block. Your divine resonance is that masterpiece, waiting to be revealed by the absence of everything that oppresses it. Allow yourself to feel the lightness of this truth, the promise that power resides in simplicity, in the delicacy of each conscious letting go. Your soul longs for this silent freedom. In the vast quantum field of existence, your essence is a wave of pure energy, an original frequency that emanates coherence and harmony, intrinsically connected to the tapestry of the universe. You are a vibrant point of light in this interconnected cosmos, and your natural state is one of perfect resonance with totality. However, throughout life, we are bombarded by information, expectations, and judgments that, like static noise, accumulate and interfere with this clear transmission. This noise does not alter your original frequency but obscures it, causing your perception of yourself and the world to become distorted, misaligned with the truth of your soul. Imagine trying to hear a perfect symphony, while countless other dissonant sounds compete for your attention, creating an internal disresonance that confuses your perception of beauty. The work is not to create a new symphony, for it already exists. The work is to silence, through release, everything that prevents this divine melody from being heard in its crystalline clarity. Feel this truth. Your innate coherence awaits. Consider the beautiful metaphor of the ancient mirror. Your deepest essence, your soul, is like a mirror of polished silver, immaculate, capable of reflecting divine light with absolute perfection. It does not need polishing to become a mirror, for its intrinsic nature is already that of an impeccable reflector. However, over the years, this mirror accumulates layers of dust and soot, limiting beliefs, unprocessed hurts, unconscious fears, others' expectations that you absorbed as your own. These layers do not damage the mirror itself, but obscure its ability to reflect light with clarity. You continue to be the mirror, but your vision of yourself and the divine through it becomes blurred, distorted. The 7-day journey is exactly about this, a careful and intentional removal of these layers of dust, day after day, progressively revealing the inherent brilliance that was never gone. You are not becoming something new. You are simply returning to be what you always were, in your total and glorious divine reflection. Visualize this now. What exactly constitutes this dust that obscures the mirror of your soul? It manifests in various forms, all of them internal noises that have settled in your energy field. They are the expectations not yours, but imposed by a society that defines success and happiness in limited ways. It is the cruel self-judgment, the internal voice that criticizes every step and every perceived imperfection, eroding your self-confidence and undermining your ability to love yourself unconditionally. They are the incessant comparisons with others, the search for external validation that drags you into a cycle of inadequacy, making you feel smaller, less worthy. This set of conditionings creates a vibrational barrier, a persistent static that mutes the pure melody of your soul. It is like trying to see the vastness of the starry sky through a dirty window, where each smudge represents one of these noises. The journey of release is the conscious act of cleaning each of these smudges, allowing the vast and infinite beauty of your essence to finally reveal itself, without filters, without distortions, in its original magnitude. Feel the weight of these layers and the promise of their dissolution. On the first day of this transformative journey, your recalibration begins with the recalibration of perception, the intentional act of shifting your perspective from seeking your divine resonance to unveiling what already inherently exists within you. For years, you may have pursued the idea that divinity is something external to be achieved, a distant goal that requires arduous effort. But today, in this first step, you are invited to feel the profound truth that your resonance is a state of being, not of doing. It is like the flower that doesn't seek its beauty, but naturally unveils it as it opens to the sun. Your practice for this day is simple. Each time you feel the need to do something to be more spiritual, pause, breathe deeply, and tell yourself, "My divine resonance is already perfect and awaiting to be unveiled." Allow that phrase to resonate in your heart, replacing the old belief of incessant search with the new truth of revelation. Observe how this shift in perception alters the energy in your body and mind. Feel the lightness that arises from knowing that the power is already here. On the second day, the invitation is for the release of expectation, the conscious detachment from the need for your journey or its results to manifest in a specific way. Our minds, with their inclination for control, love to create detailed scripts of how things should be, fixating on immediate results, on clear signs, or on a predetermined mystical experience. But by clinging to these rigid expectations, we create an invisible resistance that prevents the natural flow of quantum energy, blocking the infinite possibilities that the universe can present to us. True mastery resides in surrender, in the trust that the divine field operates in your favor, even if the paths are different from what your mind imagined. Your practice for this day is, each time a rigid expectation arises, observe it without judgment, and then visualize it as a cloud dissolving in the sky. Say, I release all expectations about how my divine resonance should manifest. I trust in the perfect flow of the universe. Allow surrender to bring a feeling of deep peace. Feel the freedom of letting go of control. We arrive at the third day, dedicated to disidentification from judgment, a powerful practice to remove one of the densest layers of dust, the critical internal voice that insists on pointing out your flaws, your inadequacies, and your past mistakes. This voice is not who you are. It is a program, an echo of conditionings and fears, operating on autopilot. By identifying with each judgmental thought, you reinforce a reality of scarcity and imperfection, further muffling the truth of your intrinsic light. The key to release is not to fight against this voice, but to observe it without attachment, like a scientist studying a phenomenon. Your practice for this day is, each time self-judgment arises, notice it. Instead of getting involved, say softly, I observe this judgment, but it does not define me. I am totality beyond any criticism. Allow the truth of your essence to prevail over the noise of the mind. Feel the space that opens when you refuse to be defined by the shadows of the past. Your impeccability awaits you, beyond the veil of judgment. Embrace yourself, exactly as you are. On the fourth day, we dive into the dissolution of comparison, one of the greatest thieves of your energy and your authentic resonance. In a hyper-connected world, we are constantly bombarded by images of seemingly perfect lives, of advanced spiritualities, and of external successes that lead us to measure our worth and our progress in relation to others. This external metric is an illusion, a distraction that pulls you away from your own unique and unrepeatable divine melody. Your frequency is original, a perfect quantum design that does not need to be equal or better than anyone else's. Trying to replicate someone else's journey is like trying to force a rose to bloom like a sunflower. Both are beautiful, but in their own nature. Your practice for this day is, each time you catch yourself comparing your journey, your gifts, or your evolution with someone else's, stop, breathe deeply, and affirm, my frequency is perfect in its singularity. I celebrate my own journey and the light I am. Allow this truth to anchor you in your own beauty and power. Feel the sovereignty of your essence without the need for external validation. You are a masterpiece. On the fifth day, the invitation is for the embrace of vulnerability, an act of courage that disintegrates the armor of social masks and defenses we have built to protect ourselves from judgment and rejection. Throughout life, we learn to hide parts of ourselves that we consider imperfect or unworthy, presenting to the world a filtered version, an image we hope will be accepted. But this strategy, although it seems protective, creates an energetic dissonance, a friction between who you really are and who you pretend to be. Divine resonance, in its pure authenticity, can only flow fully when you allow yourself to be seen in your totality, with your lights and your shadows, with your strength and your delicacy. Your practice for this day is, choose a moment to be vulnerable, whether with yourself in meditation, allowing yourself to feel uncomfortable emotions without resisting, or with someone you trust, sharing a part of yourself that you normally hide. Affirm, my authenticity is my greatest strength. I am loved and accepted exactly as I am. Feel the deep release that comes with the daring of being you. Your truth is a portal to genuine connection. On the sixth day, we arrive at permission for the divine flow, the supreme act of surrender that allows universal intelligence to Orchestrate your life in perfect synchronicity with your soul. Our minds, with their need for control, often try to micromanage every aspect of our existence, resisting the natural flow of events and trying to force results according to our limited plans. However, the quantum field responds to your vibration, not your struggle. When you allow yourself to let go of the reins of control, you open a portal for higher solutions, unexpected opportunities, and impeccable alignment with your purpose to manifest with ease and grace. It is like a sailboat that, instead of fighting against the wind, adjusts its sails to be propelled by it. Your practice for this day is: choose an area of your life where you are trying to control excessively, and visualize yourself releasing the moorings, allowing the situation to unfold divinely. Affirm, I surrender to the perfect flow of the universe. My divine resonance guides me to my highest good. Feel the vastness of trust settle in your being, releasing the burden of battle. Allow the current of life to carry you toward your deepest joy. On the seventh and final day of this quantum activation, the invitation is for the celebration of the revealed essence. After 6 days of intentional release and recalibration, you are no longer the same person who began this journey. The layers of dust have been gently removed, and the mirror of your soul now reflects divine light with a clarity and brilliance you may never have experienced before. Feel this deeply in your body, the lightness, the peace, the subtle joy that pulses in every cell. Your inherent resonance, which has always been there, is now fully accessible to your consciousness, manifesting as a feeling of totality, of unwavering connection with all that is. This is not the end, but the true beginning of a life lived in authentic alignment, where your frequency becomes the beacon that guides your choices, your interactions, and your manifestations. Your practice for this day is: dedicate time in silence to simply feel and witness this transformation. Write in a journal the perceived changes and celebrate each one. Affirm, I am my manifested divine resonance. I am light. I am love. I am totality. Allow gratitude to inundate your being. You did not seek the light. You became the light itself. Embrace this truth. It is crucial to understand that these daily recalibrations are not mere tasks to be crossed off a list, but rather profound paradigm shifts, energetic shifts in the way you relate to yourself and to the quantum field that surrounds you. Each act of release, each conscious choice to let go of an expectation or a judgment, is actively reconfiguring the neural networks in your brain. This is the power of neuroplasticity in action. You are literally training your nervous system to operate from a frequency of coherence and authenticity instead of one of resistance and effort. Throughout these 7 days, you have not only unveiled your resonance but also planted the seeds of new mental and emotional habits, creating a new field of attraction for your reality. What once seemed like a struggle to be more spiritual now becomes a natural state of simply being in your essence, a continuous flow of alignment that deepens with each breath. You are recoding your vibrational DNA. Feel the transformative power of this process in your own biology. Now, with the clarity of these revelations and the experience of these 7 recalibrations echoing in your being, I ask you with the deepest sincerity, are you truly willing to embrace this new reality, to continuously and consciously release everything that still prevents you from reflecting your unlimited potential with totality and clarity? Are you ready to let go of the ties that do not serve you? To shed old identities and limiting stories that your mind, perhaps by habit, still tries to tell? Feel this question reverberate in every cell of your body, for the answer is not merely intellectual, but an energetic decision that will reorient your vibrational field. Allow this question to manifest as a powerful lever for your next phase of expansion, an invitation for you to not only understand, but embody your divine essence in your daily life. The choice is always yours. The mirror is clean. What do you allow it to reflect? By embracing this inherent truth and integrating these simple, yet profound recalibrations into your life, the natural question that arises is, what in fact changes in your external reality? And how does this activation concretely manifest in your daily life, in your relationships, in your abundance, and in your health? The release of internal static has a direct impact on the collapse of your wave of reality, co-creating a field of possibilities aligned with your highest frequency. And that is exactly what we will explore in our next encounter. As you process this deep activation, feel the energy of your decision. 2. Not miss any future insight on how to deepen this connection and manifest your truth in even grander ways. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Join our community of conscious resonance and be ready for the next step that will transform your understanding of co-creation. Your journey has only just begun. Allow it to guide you beyond all your dreams. Feel the call.